Okay. Are you guys still working on the warm up or are we good? Okay, I'm gonna run over that real quick. Sure. There we go. Okay, so your job was to identify A, B, and C in the following equation. So we have x squared. There is no coefficient present, so it is assumed to be 1. Okay, what is the value of B? B is negative 10. And for C, the value is negative, is that 24? Yeah, negative 24. Okay, then our next job is to find two numbers that multiply to AC and also add to B. So the answer to that one is number 2, or the second one, because 2 plus negative 12 equals negative 10, and 2 times negative 12 equals negative 24. Okay, any questions on that? Yes, sir.
When I answered number 4, the correct answer is the first one.
Oh,
That might be an error.
that is an error. Let me fix that. Thank you for pointing that out. I will get in there real quick and set that to regrade. Okay, I kind of got ahead of myself in the recording of this. So we've identified A is 1 because there's no coefficient shown. And so we assume it is 1. We found our B is 6, our C is 8. A times C is 8, because 1 times 8 is 8. Then we're looking for something, two numbers that multiply together and equal 8. And then two numbers that also add and equal 6, okay, based on this. So I'm going to start listing factors of 8, okay? So that's 1 times 8, just pairs of numbers, not prime numbers, okay? 2 times 4, and I think that's it, because then we go back to 4. So let's see which one of these will add up to 6. So it's definitely this one. And so on one, I'm going to put one of these on one side and one on the other of the x. So I have a 2 and a 4. Okay. Next, I need to put my denominator. The denominator is going to be a. So I'm going to put a 1 there and a 1 there. Okay. Now, my job is to write this out. 2 sets of parentheses. I'm checking to see if these fractions can be simplified. We're going to keep them in fraction form because that makes it easier to do what we need to do here. So 2 over 1, that's as low as we can go. There's no simplifying. Same with 4 over 1. So right here, we write our letter X. We leave a little space so we can put something in front of it if we need to. So we're looking at the denominator to see what goes in front of X. Okay. Since it's 1, do we need to put a 1 in front of the x? Because 1 times x is x, right? Okay, then we look at the top, and that is a 2, so we put plus 2. We have a 4 here, so we put plus 4. Okay, and that's factored. Easy peasy. Okay, so then we get a little bit more complicated if we get into an example like, let's try number 4. So we identify our variables of A equals 1, B equals 6, and C equals negative 16. Our AC is 1 times negative 16, and our B is 6. Okay, so next we're looking for something that multiplies and something that adds to get those two numbers on the top and the bottom. So we will put 1 times negative 16 Sometimes when I'm writing down the factors, I don't really worry about the signs because I know I have to manipulate those to get what I need to add up to. So we've got 1 times 16, 2 times 10. Wait, not 10. I was thinking about something else. 2 times 8 and 4 times 4. Okay, do any of those look like they could add up or subtract from each other to come up to a 6? Yes, negative 2 times 8. So if we add the negative 2 plus the 8, then we're going to get 6. And if we multiply, we get negative 16. You see how we find that? Kyle, do you see how we locate that? Okay. Good. Okay, so now the numerators are negative 2 and 8. And the denominators are A right here. And so that's 1. So we set up our parentheses. And we put in X and X. We have 1 here and here, so we don't have to put anything in front of the X. And then we have a negative 2 over here, so we put minus 2. And we have an 8 here, so put plus 8. Alrighty. Let me scroll down and we'll do one that has a non-1A. Okay, so remember, I've written in there the first step is to always check and see if there's a greatest common factor. So we're going to look at number 4 and number 6 as examples. So number 4, we're checking to see if there's a greatest common factor between the coefficients and the variables. Well, there's not variables in every single term, so we know that that's not going to be a common factor. There are even numbers in every single term, so we can factor out a 2. Okay, so our greatest common factor is going to be 2, right? So I'm going to divide each term by 2. Since I didn't list out all the factors, I can't use that shortcut that we used yesterday, but you could still do that if you prefer. Okay, so if I divide it all out, I'm going to get x squared plus 9 plus 9 x plus 14. Okay, so I need to remember that when I get down to the bottom and do my parentheses that I've got to put a number 2 in front of it. So I'm going to do that right now so I don't forget, because that's still part of the factoring. Okay, there will be 3 factors for this one, 2 and then 2 linear equations. Okay, so now let's start by identifying again. A equals 1, B equals 9, C equals 14, and AC equals 14. So do our X, we have 14 on top, 9 on the bottom, and then we look for something that multiplies and something that adds or subtracts to get 9. So we have 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. And I think that's all the factors of 14. So we have, we can't get 9 out of 1 and 14, but we can add 2 and 7. So I'm going to choose those 2, put 2 here and 7 here in our numerator. And then on the bottom, I'm going to put A. A is 1. And so we have X. We don't have to put the 1 in front of it. And then we have plus 2 from the left side and plus 7 from the right side. So that's our answer. Okay, everybody following along okay with that? Okay, this is going to be the primary method of factoring when you retake the DCA and when you take the semester exam. Okay, so get solid on this. I think there's one question on the DCA where you have the greatest common factor first. Yes.
Just go back to like just
Yep.
Alright.
Okay. All right. So now we have this one. We're looking to see if there's any common factors. So 2 is the lowest number here, and that is prime. So the only way that we could factor this is if all the other numbers were divisible by 2. Okay, since they're not divisible by 2 because they're odd, we're not going to find the greatest common factor. Okay, you may have run into that yesterday when you were working on, maybe if you chose number 9, you might have gotten stuck because the greatest common factor for, I believe the numbers were like 24 and 5. The greatest common factor for 24 and 5 is 1. So there's really no point in factoring out a 1. Right? Makes sense? Angel, your nose. So, okay, so let's do this one. We're going to identify A equals 15, B equals 7, and C equals, sorry, that's -7. Very important. And C equals -2. So AC equals -30. Okay, so let's make our big X here. We can get our parentheses ready. Why not? We've got -30 here, and then we're going to put B here, which is -7. So factors of 30, we need to remember that in the end it needs to multiply to a negative. So one has to be negative and one has to be positive. So we have 1 and 30. We have 2 and 15. Neither of these are giving me any feels for 7. So let's see, 3 and 5. That's not going to get us there. 4, 5. Wait, why did I write 3? Got real excited about that. That's a 6. It could be 3 and a -10. Okay, so that's correct. If we add those, we get a -7. So that's perfect. So we're going to go with 3 and -10. Okay. Remember, if you want your answer to be negative, so we were looking for a -7, then you need to choose the bigger number that you're adding to be the negative one. Okay. So our numerators are 3 and -10, and our denominators are going to be A. This time A is 15. Okay, so the fun part about this one is now we can reduce these fractions. Okay, if you have trouble reducing fractions, let me know. You can use the calculator, calculators in class to do that, and I'm sure that you can find a calculator online that will reduce fractions if you're at home. So we are going to do this way. We're looking for a common factor, the greatest common factor between 3 and 15. Since 3 is a prime number, we're going to have to go for 3 and see if it will divide into 15. Okay, so it does. So we're going to divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. So if we do the same to both the top and the bottom, it will stay the equivalent. So that's 1 over 5. All right, so here we're looking for a common factor. 10 is not a factor of 15, so now we have to look at the factors of 10, which are 2 and 5. So both of them have 5 as a factor, so we can divide both the top and the bottom by 5. So that gives us -2 over 3. Those are both primes, so we can't reduce any further. Okay? Is that pretty clear? Okay, so now we're going to use the same method. First, we look at the denominator on the left. The denominator on the left is 5, so that goes in front of the x. The denominator on the right is 3, so that goes in front of the x. On the left, we have a 1, so we're adding 1. On the right, we have a -2, so we subtract 2. Okay, probably the most complicated step about these is probably the just the reducing the fractions. So it's 9:30 almost. So this is what I want to do. I want you to decide which category you're in. If you're thumbs up category, I want you to go ahead and start on the class practice. Okay. If you are in the, I think I've got this, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I have some questions. I want you to hang tight and we'll go over another one. And once you're ready, you can go ahead and start on the practice, picking your practice problems. Okay, if you have no idea what we're doing, I want you to make sure that you let me know what questions that you have. I'll come around and check on you, but you just need to let me know so that I can check with you individually, okay? So if you're thumbs up, let me know. Okay, if you're, I need to give some more examples. Okay, and if you think I really need some one-on-one, give me a thumbs down. Any thumbs down? Okay, all right, so let me work a few more examples. Okay, so this is a vote now. Do you want examples where A is 1? Or do you want examples where A is greater than 1? Which ones do you want me to work out? Does it matter? This is a vote for examples. Do you know what I'm asking? Yes? Thumbs up. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to do some examples with A is greater than 1. So let's look at number 5 here. We have, do you know how to identify A, B, and C? Is that easy? That's easy to identify A, B, and C? Okay. So we do that. We have 3, -13, and -9. Okay, so finding AC, is that easy or hard? Pretty easy? Hard? Nobody wants to answer that one. Okay, to find AC, all we're doing is looking at A and C and we're multiplying them. AC equals -9 times 3, which is, I think that's -27. Anybody good at math in their head? Yep, okay, thank you, Kyle. All right, so that's AC goes right here. So we have -27. Is this big enough so you can see it okay? All right, so then we put B down here at the bottom. That's -13. So we're looking for something that multiplies together to get the top number and adds or subtracts to get the bottom number. So I'm going to list the factors. Of -27. So that's 1 and 27, 2 and nothing. So 2 doesn't work. 3 and 9 and let's see what else. I think that's it. So I think we might have found one that's not factorable. I'm gonna double check and make sure I didn't make any errors. Number 5. Yep. So because we found all of the factors of 27 and there's no way that we can ever get a -13 from those, that means that this one cannot be factored. Okay, so if you get stumped on one, if you're not like committed enough to your answer to say that it can't be factored, skip it. Okay, because there's a few of them that are like that. Okay, let's try another one. Here's one. We'll try another number 5. So A equals 6, B equals -29, and C equals -5. AC equals 6 times -5 is -30. Okay, so on the top we put our AC, that's -30. Okay, on the bottom we put B, that's -2. Okay, I'm gonna get my parentheses all ready over here. I forgot to check for greatest common factor. Is there a greatest common factor in this? 5 is the lowest number. The other numbers are not divisible by 5. 5 is a prime, so it can't be greatest common factor. Okay, so now let's list the factors of 30 and see which ones will either add or subtract to come up to -2. So we have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't, 5 and 6. I think that's it. So are there any of these that are 2 away? Oh, look, I did 22 instead of 29. Yeah. Did anybody else notice my error? Okay. Feel free to speak up. Okay. So 29. So we can probably get 29 out of this. Okay. So we need it to be a -29. So which one has to be negative? The 1 or the 30? Okay. If you want the number to be negative when you add them together, you want the bigger number to be negative. Okay. So we're going to go with 1 and -30. Okay, so underneath each one, we're going to put 6 because that's A. A goes underneath. Then we're going to check and see if we can reduce any 1/6 is the lowest it can be, and then -30, that's divisible by 6. So we're going to make that into -5 over 1 because we divided the top by 6 and the bottom by 6. Make sense? Okay, so we're going to put in our x, and on this side we have, on the left side we have a 6 on the bottom, so that's our coefficient, and we have a 1 on the top, so we add 1. On the bottom we have a 1, so we have no coefficient, and we have a -5. Okay? Any questions? Okay, do you want me to do some more? Let's do another one. I'm assuming if I see that you're not looking at me anymore that you are ready to go. So let me know if you have more questions. So we have number 10. We have A equals 3, B equals -22, and C equals 35. A, C equals 3 times 35. I need a calculator. Here. There we go. 3 times 35. That's 105. So we have 105. So put in my x. By the way, since 22 is not divisible by 3, there's no greatest common factor here. Let's see, we have parentheses ready. We have AC in the top, 105. We have B down here, that is -22. So let's look at some factors of 105. We have 1 and 105. We have, let's see if I can divide by 3. Oops, 105 divided by 3. Yeah, I should have known that. So there's 3 and 35. And then let's see, 105 divided by 5 is 21. So we can have 5 and 21. And then 105, that is it. So is there anything here that will get us to 22? I bet we have another unfactorable.
So we need to figure out what.
Wait, if it's 35, then 7 is a factor too. We should try that one.
So we need to figure out what times blood goes into 105 and then subtract it to get -22.
Yes. So we also have, or add it. So we have 7 and we have 5. I'm not 5. Is it 7 and 11? 105 divided by 7. 105 divided by 7 equals 15. What's 15 and 7? Is that 22? That's 22, right? Okay, so here's the deal. We've got to get a negative 22, right? So we're going to have to make both of them negative so that when they multiply together, we get a positive 105. Okay? So we're going to put, did I answer your question sufficiently, Logan?
I just have a different way of doing it.
Yeah. As long as you're getting the factors that go together and one of them multiplies to get the top number and one of them subtracts or adds to get the bottom number, you're fine. That answer better?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so underneath we're going to put our A, which is 3. So we're checking to see if we can simplify. 7 is not divisible by 3, so that stays. 15 and 3 have a common factor of 3. So we're going to change that, and we're going to put 1 on the bottom because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. So now we go with our x's. We have x, and the 3 goes in front of this one because we have 3 on the denominator. We have a minus 7 because that's what the numerator is. Here we have an x with a 1 for the coefficient, so we don't have to write in the 1, and then we have a negative 5 on the top. And so that is our answer. Okay. All right, any more questions on it? Got that procedure down, okay? All right, so just to make sure you understand the notation that I've written on the class assignment that you need to all start on. Let's see, how much time do we have left? We get out like in a minute, 50? Okay, no, we've got enough time. So you've got enough time to do at least one of the problems if you were in my I needed more help group. So do one of them on your own. See how successful you are. Ask me if you have any questions. Do that right now. And then when it's quarter till, then I'll have you do your exit ticket. Yes. No, you do not have to do all of them. Directions, hopefully all the directions, but just do. Yeah, just do like one from each page. I want you to make sure that you do some that have the A equals 1. That's fine, but then I also want you to do some where A is not equal to 1. Don't forget your edge. You didn't do a practice one, okay? So if you want, you've got the right numbers there, but not the right sign. So if you want this to go to negative 23, right here you've got it going to negative 25. If you add those together. So one of the signs needs to change. There you go. Yeah. Does it flip out?
Yeah.
Okay, click the magnifying glass instead of clicking on the PDF title. By the way, if any of you have problems getting the PDF to show up, if it freaks out your browser, click on the magnifying glass and it should be okay. Yeah, because that happens to a lot. make sure if you're typing your answer in the text box or even if you're doing it on paper and uploading it, you are numbering which problem you're doing so that I can find it. Also, you should check in your to-do list on Canvas. You should have a peer review to do if your partner turned in their work. The assignment we did yesterday, trying to explore the options we have for kind of working together collaboratively instead of always working on our own, so that you guys can help each other out. So keep an eye out for that, if it pops up. You should start on your exit ticket if you haven't already.
What's actually
Exit ticket comes
after this?
this assignment, yeah. I mean, you can finish the exit ticket, you know, later, you can submit it more than once. So if you wanna turn it in and tell me how you're doing at this point, that's great. There's an option for I started my work, but didn't finish it, it's fine. And you don't have to answer every single question. Each day I'm trying to, it may not be every day, but each day I'm trying to give you feedback. So you should all have feedback from yesterday's exit ticket if you submitted it. So if you don't know how to find that, please let me know.